My parents left my sister a luxury car collection and gave me a broken toy car. At least you have wheels. They laughed. But when that toy led to something bigger, they regretted it. My name is Max. I'm 25 years old, and my parents never loved me. There. I said it. To be honest, I even wrote it down. But if you think this is some sob story about a forgotten child whining over rich family drama, you're wrong. This is about revenge. My family is rich. Disgustingly rich. My father owns a real estate empire. My mother runs high-end boutiques. And my sister Amelia is their pride and joy, the perfect daughter, the flawless heir to the family legacy. And me? I'm the problem. The disappointment. The one who refused to play by their rules. I never wanted their life. Never wanted to sit through boring business dinners, pretend to care about real estate trends, or suck up to their millionaire friends. I wanted to build something of my own. Startups, investments, my own business ideas. Some worked, some failed, and every failure was another reason for them to sneer at me. Max is irresponsible. Max will just waste everything. Max doesn't know how to appreciate what he has. They never said it outright. They didn't need to. So when my 25th birthday came around, I already knew not to expect much. They threw a massive party for Amelia, of course. The decorations were in her favorite colors, champagne flowed like water, and guests kept telling her how amazing she was. Then came the moment of gifts. My father stepped forward, holding a sleek velvet box. He opened it with dramatic flair. For our dear Amelia, he announced. Inside? 3 car keys. Not 1. Not 2. 3. A Ferrari. A Porsche. A Rolls-Royce. Amelia gasped, covering her mouth in fake surprise. We all knew she had picked them herself. The crowd cheered, clapping like seals, while my mother wiped fake tears from her eyes. Then my father turned to me. And for you, Max, we haven't forgotten. He pulled a small box from his pocket and tossed it to me, like I was a kid being handed a piece of candy. I caught it, opened it. Inside was a toy car. Scratched. Faded. 1 wheel missing. They laughed. At least you have wheels. My father chuckled. My mother giggled into her champagne. Amelia twirled her car keys in her hand. I forced a smile, because that's what I had learned to do. If you let them see you're hurt, they win. I rolled the little car between my fingers, and in that moment, I remembered something. I was 10 years old, running into my father's office, holding my first science competition trophy. I was breathless with excitement. Dad, look, I won first place. He barely glanced up from his laptop. That's nice, son. No excitement. No pride. Just a quick pat on the head before he went back to his emails. I stood there for a moment, waiting for him to say something else. Anything. Instead, he sighed. Go show your mother, Max. I'm busy. That trophy sat on the mantel for one day. The next morning, it was gone. Now, sitting in that grand ballroom with a worthless toy in my hands, I had to ask myself, why? It wasn't just favoritism. It wasn't just about Amelia. My father was just like me when he was younger. He told me stories, how he built his empire from scratch, how he fought against expectations, how his own father never believed in him. So why didn't he support me? Why was I the failure, the disappointment, the one who deserved nothing? I looked up at him. He was smiling, but there was something else in his eyes. A flicker of something he would never admit to. Regret? Fear? No. It didn't matter anymore. Because this stupid little toy car? It was about to lead me to something they never saw coming. People keep asking me why I didn't just throw the toy car in my father's face. Why I didn't flip the table, call them out, or just walk away. Simple. I don't do what they expect. See, my parents have been waiting for years for me to snap, to prove them right. Max is impulsive. Max is emotional. Max doesn't know how to control himself. If I had made a scene that night, it would have been just another story they could laugh about over wine. Oh, poor Max, always so dramatic. So I did what they didn't expect. I stayed quiet. I pocketed the car. And I smiled. Let them think they won. Let them believe I was beaten. Because I had a plan. The next morning, Amelia found me in the kitchen, sitting at the marble island, stirring my coffee like I had nothing better to do. She was still glowing from her big moment, wearing a silk robe and carrying that smug look she always had after getting her way. Max, don't be mad. I smirked. Why would I be mad? She slid onto the stool next to me, flipping her perfect hair. You know how mom and dad are. They just don't trust you with big things. You're unpredictable. I took a sip of my coffee. I mean, she continued, Oblivious, it's kind of your fault. You never stick to anything. One minute you're starting some business, the next minute it's a disaster, and you move on to something else. They just don't want to see you fail again. I set my mug down, tapping my fingers against the countertop. Funny. What? I turned to her, meeting her eyes. You say they don't want to see me fail, but they've never once helped me succeed. Amelia blinked. That's not true. I laughed. Actually laughed. Name one time. She opened her mouth, then closed it. She couldn't. That afternoon, I found my father in his office. He was on the phone, talking numbers, pacing the room like a man who still thought he ran the world. When he finally hung up, he looked at me like I was a stray dog that had wandered in. You need something? Just wanted to talk. He sighed, rubbing his temple. Make it quick. I sat down in the leather chair across from him. I was thinking about last night. Oh. I pulled the toy car out of my pocket, rolling it across his desk. He barely glanced at it. You used to be like me, I said. That got his attention. His eyes flicked up, narrowing. What? When you were younger, I leaned back, crossing my arms. You told me once how Grandpa never believed in you. How you started with nothing, fought for everything. You were the underdog. His jaw tightened. That was different. How? He sighed again, like he was already tired of this conversation. I worked for it. I didn't waste time on reckless ideas. I built something real. So did I. He scoffed. Oh, please. I clenched my fists under the table. You know, I always wondered why you didn't support me. I thought maybe you were trying to push me to be stronger. But no, you just don't want me to be you. Something flickered in his expression. Just for a second. Conversation's over, he muttered, grabbing the toy car and tossing it into the trash. I smiled. Sure. For now. Because he thought I was done. But this was just the beginning. People say revenge is best served cold, but I disagree. It's best served unexpected. When they least expect it. When they're still laughing, thinking they've won. That's what makes the fall so much sweeter. A week had passed since my birthday. Since they humiliated me in front of everyone. Since my father tossed that broken toy car into the trash like it was nothing. I let them enjoy their little victory. But while they were busy celebrating themselves, something big happened. Something huge. I checked my phone for the 100th time, refreshing my portfolio. The numbers weren't changing. This wasn't a mistake. I had just made millions. See, 6 months ago, I did something my family would have laughed at. I took what little money I had left, some old investments, savings, and a few side gigs, and I went all in on something risky. A tech startup that no one believed in. A company my father's investment friends scoffed at. Max, you have no idea how real business works. My father told me the last time I mentioned it. You throw money around like a child buying candy. Guess what? That candy just turned into gold. The company I invested in? They exploded overnight. A breakthrough deal, a sudden surge in valuation, whatever the reason. My small investment turned into a fortune. I was now sitting on more money than my parents ever gave me. And the best part? They had no idea. That night, I sat at the family dinner table, swirling my wine glass, listening to them talk about their latest deals and Amelia's new penthouse. My father was boasting about some new property acquisition. My mother was discussing Amelia's upcoming charity gala. They didn't even notice me. Typical. Until I decided to speak. I'm buying something too, I said casually. That got their attention. My father smirked. Oh? What? A new business idea. Amelia giggled. A toy store, maybe. I smiled, taking my time, letting them enjoy their moment just a little longer. No, I said, leaning forward. I'm buying Crestview Towers. Silence. Absolute, dead silence. My father's face dropped. Amelia's fork clattered against her plate. My mother actually gasped. Crestview Towers. The luxury real estate project my father had been eyeing for months. The one he had been negotiating, trying to close the deal on. The one he had bragged about securing in front of his rich friends. I pulled my phone out of my pocket, opened an email, and slid it across the table to him. Confirmation of acquisition, Crestview Towers. My father snatched the phone, his eyes scanning the screen. His jaw tightened. His hands clenched. You're lying. Nope. This isn't possible. You don't have the kind of money for this. I grinned. I do now. And that's when it hit him. When he realized that I was no longer the screw-up. That I was no longer under his control. I wasn't just winning. I had already won. And he never saw it coming. My father's face was frozen. His hands gripped my phone so tightly I thought he might crush it. You're lying, he said again, But this time, his voice wasn't so confident. I'm not. I leaned back in my chair, stretching my arms like this was just another normal dinner. Check the contract. The deal went through this morning. Amelia snatched the phone from my father's hands, scanning the email like she could somehow will it to be fake. There's no way, she muttered. You don't have this kind of money. I smirked. I do now. My mother, who had been silent up until now, placed her wine glass down carefully, her lips tight. Max, sweetheart, this isn't funny. I'm not joking, Mom. I stood up and slid my hands into my pockets, enjoying the absolute disbelief on their faces. I own Crestview Towers now. That's nonsense. My father's voice cracked like a whip. He pushed back from the table, towering over me like he thought he could still intimidate me into submission. You think you can just, what? Walk into my world and take what's mine? I laughed. His world? The same one he spent years keeping me out of? You were too slow, I said simply. You kept talking about the deal, but you never actually closed it. I did. You don't have this kind of capital, my father growled. Even if you had some pathetic investment when, you couldn't afford a deal like this. Not alone, I admitted. I had investors. His eyes darkened. Who? I tilted my head. Oh, you'd know them. Some of your old friends in real estate? Turns out, a lot of them are tired of working with you. His nostrils flared. You stole my deal. No, I corrected. I beat you to it. The room was silent. The air thick. Amelia was still clutching my phone like she wanted to throw it. My mother's fingers twitched like she wanted to reach for my hand, to play the kind, worried mother act. But my father? He wasn't just angry. He was furious. And beneath that, he was scared. Because for the first time, he realized something. I wasn't his failure. I was his competition. An hour later, I was back in my room when my mother knocked on the door. Max, can we talk? I sighed but opened it. She stepped inside like she owned the place, closing the door behind her. Sweetheart, she started, using that soft, honeyed voice that used to work on me as a kid. I know you and your father have always clashed, but you have to understand, he just wants what's best for you. I laughed under my breath. Right? That's why he's always treated me like a disappointment. She gave a tight smile, stepping closer. You're different from him, Max. You always have been. He built everything he has from the ground up. He sees you taking risks, failing, and he worries. He doesn't want you to ruin yourself. I shook my head. No, he doesn't want me to succeed without him. Her smile faltered. Admit it, I said, crossing my arms. If I had done exactly what he wanted, worked under him, obeyed him, he would have supported me. It was never about my skills. It was about control. She sighed, rubbing her temples like she was suddenly exhausted. You don't understand how this family works, Max. No, I said. You don't understand that I'm not part of it anymore. She flinched, like I had actually hurt her. But I didn't care, because I meant it. I was done playing their game, and they were about to learn just how big of a mistake they made. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing nonstop. Messages. Missed calls. I smirked before I even checked them. It had begun, because last night, after my little announcement, I had set something else into motion. I wasn't just taking Crestview Towers from my father. I was taking his reputation with it. I had sent a little tip to the press. A few well-placed words about questionable financial practices. Some insider knowledge about shady business deals he thought were buried. By the time my father realized what was happening, it was too late. And for the first time in my life, I watched him panic. They say power isn't taken. It's earned. I disagree. Sometimes, power is just stolen from the people too blind to see they're about to lose it. That's exactly what I did. My father had spent years building his image. A self-made real estate mogul. A genius in the industry. Someone who made smart decisions, calculated risks. A man who never lost. So when the news articles started dropping, one by one, he wasn't just angry. He was desperate. Headlines splashed across financial sites and social media. Major real estate tycoon caught in legal dispute over shady investments. Anonymous whistleblower exposes unethical business deals. Investors pull out as doubts surround CEO's leadership. It wasn't illegal, at least not all of it. But it was bad enough. Bad enough to shake confidence. Bad enough to make people nervous. Bad enough to cost him everything. I watched it all unfold from the sidelines. Amelia was the first to call me. What did you do? She hissed through the phone. I put her on speaker while I poured myself a drink. I have no idea what you're talking about. Nonsense, she snapped. Dad's losing deals left and right. Investors are backing out. The board is questioning his leadership. I took a slow sip of whiskey. Well, that's tough. You're enjoying this, aren't you? I smirked. What gave it away? She made a frustrated sound, like she wanted to throw her phone at my face. This isn't over, Max. You don't get to just win like this. I swirled the glass in my hand. I already did. And I hung up. A week later, my father finally caved. I was sitting in a rooftop lounge when my phone rang. No caller ID. I answered anyway. Silence on the line. Then his voice. Max. I raised an eyebrow. Dad. A heavy exhale. The kind that meant he had been forced into this conversation. We need to talk. I leaned back in my chair, watching the city lights. About what? You know well what? His voice was tight, controlled. But there was something under it. Something cracking. Fear. For the first time, he was afraid of me. I smiled. All right, Dad. Let's talk. I met my father at his favorite club, a high-end, members-only lounge where billionaires pretended they weren't terrified of losing everything. He was already sitting at a private booth when I arrived, his drink untouched. He looked older. The stress had carved deep lines into his face. His suit was still expensive, but for the first time in my life, he didn't look like the most powerful man in the room. I did. Max, his voice was calm, controlled. Like he wasn't seconds away from begging. I smirked. Dad. I sat across from him, stretching out like I had all the time in the world. I'll be direct, he said, cutting to the point. You made your move. You got your little victory. Now it's time to stop this. I raised an eyebrow. Stop what? He exhaled sharply, like I was exhausting him. The attacks. The rumors. The investors pulling out. You made your point. Now tell me what you want. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on the table. You think I did all this just to make a point? His eyes narrowed. Didn't you? I chuckled, shaking my head. No, Dad. I did this because I'm done. Done playing the family clown. Done letting you and Mom and Amelia treat me like an afterthought. Done pretending I need this family. His jaw tightened. This is your family, Max. I tilted my head. Funny. You didn't seem to think so when you gave me a broken toy car while Amelia got a luxury collection. He flinched. I smiled. Yeah, I didn't forget. His fingers tapped against his glass, his patience slipping. All right. You want in? Fine. I'll bring you into the business. You'll have access to everything. I don't need your business, I cut in. His mouth snapped shut. I let the words sink in before continuing. You think I'm still that kid begging for scraps. But I don't need your approval. I don't need your company. And I sure don't need your money. I pulled my phone out, tapping a few times before sliding it across the table. He hesitated before looking, and then his face drained of color. Because on the screen was a deal memo. A hostile takeover bid. For his company. His voice broke before he caught himself. His hands clenched into fists. You're bluffing. I leaned back. Am I? Silence. Because he knew. He knew I wasn't bluffing. The next few days were chaos. Amelia tried to fight back first. She called me, voice dripping with fake concern. Max, you're making a mistake. I don't want to see you ruin everything over some petty revenge. Shh. Ruin what? Your trust fund. I cut in. She went silent. I smirked. Yeah, that's what I thought. And I hung up. Mom was next. She actually cried this time. Called me saying, you're breaking this family apart, Max. Do you really want to do this? I almost laughed. They broke this family the moment they decided I was worth less than a toy car. And my father? He did what he always did. He fought. Tried to stop my investors. Tried to pull strings. Tried to block the takeover. But here's the thing. He taught me everything I needed to beat him. And in the end, he lost. Because 3 weeks later, it was official. The company, the empire he built, it was mine. The first time I walked into my father's old office, it didn't feel real. The massive glass windows. The mahogany desk that used to be his throne. The city skyline stretching beyond the walls like it belonged to him. Only now, it all belonged to me. I leaned against the desk, running my fingers along the polished wood. My father had sat here for decades, believing he was untouchable. Believing that no matter what happened, he would always be in control. Now, he didn't even have a seat at the table. The takeover had been swift. I didn't just acquire his company, I gutted it. Replaced his board members. Restructured everything. And my father? He lost everything overnight. No more connections. No more power. No more empire. Now, he was just another man trying to stay afloat in a world that didn't need him anymore. Amelia cracked next. She had always lived off the family wealth, off the name. She thought she was untouchable. But when Dad lost everything, so did she. The sports cars? Gone. The penthouse? Sold. The lifestyle she was so proud of? Over. She called me once, her voice shaking. Max. I didn't know things would get this bad. I swirled my drink, watching the city lights from my new office. That's funny, I said. Because I did. Silence. Max, please. Her voice cracked. I don't have anywhere to go. I smirked. Maybe you should have kept that toy car. At least you'd still have wheels. And I hung up. Mom tried one last time. She showed up at my office, looking smaller than I had ever seen her. No designer dresses. No expensive jewelry. Just a woman who realized, too late, that she bet on the wrong child. Max, she whispered. You proved your point. I leaned back in my chair. Did I? Her lips pressed together. We're still your family. I tilted my head. Are you? She flinched. And in that moment, I realized something. I didn't feel angry anymore. I didn't feel hurt. I just felt done. This was never about revenge. It was about freedom. And now, I finally had it. I walked her to the elevator. She turned to me one last time, eyes filled with something I couldn't quite place. Regret? Sadness? Maybe both. If you ever want to come home, she started. I smiled. I am home. The doors slid shut. And just like that, my past was gone. For good. Final update. People think this was about revenge. That I did all of this just to get back at them. But the truth? This was never about them. It was about me. For years, I let them define me. The disappointment. The failure. The one who would never succeed. I spent my whole life trying to prove them wrong, trying to make them see me. But in the end, it didn't matter. Because I didn't need their validation. I didn't need their approval. I just needed to believe in myself. That's the real lesson here. Success isn't about proving people wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about walking away from those who don't value you. It's about building your own life on your own terms. I thought I wanted revenge. But what I really wanted was freedom. And now, I have it. And I'm never looking back.